So, have you ever heard about Nahanni National Park Reserve? It is a place where nature looks very beautiful, but even after having such amazing views, not many people go there for camping. Now, to know the reason behind this, we have to go back almost 122 years. At that time, two brothers came into these mountains searching for gold. But unfortunately, they never found it, and during their search, they lost their lives in 1904. And after this incident, different dark legends started forming around this forest. But the story does not end here, as later, another person named Martin Jorgensen also went there to search for gold. He built a cabin in the valley, but suddenly one day, for an unknown reason, the cabin completely burned down, and he also could not survive. After this incident, more dark stories started spreading about this forest, and these stories quickly reached different explorers. Later, some people came here looking for gold, while others came for camping. But whoever visited this place returned with some kind of experience that they didn't want to share with others. But today, I will share one such experience with you, where someone was challenged to go there for camping. And what happened to him after that, we will find out soon. So if you love paranormal, creepy experiences and these types of stories, then you are in the perfect place because I regularly share such stories. Make sure to leave a like and comment because your feedback helps me understand how you feel about them. Now, without talking too much, let's start the first story. So I was living in Canada, as I went there to complete my studies, and since I stayed there for a long time, I made some good friends at my university. I also had a girlfriend, and our relationship was going very well, but she was not studying with me. I met her at a cafe, and I used to share almost everything with her. Our plan was that after completing my education, I would return to my country and she would come along. Everything was going perfectly. But then I made a mistake. One day, I went out with my college group. We were hanging out at a house when one of them started talking about Nahanni National Park. Since he was a local, he knew many things about that area. He told me several incidents connected to the place. He said he had never visited it himself, but one of his brothers had gone there and faced something terrifying inside the forest. After that, he never wanted to return. I should mention that very few people want to camp there, and one of the main reasons is its dark history. I won't go into too much detail. If you search the name Nahanni on Google, you will find enough information to understand why I am saying this. Anyway, since I had never personally faced anything paranormal or scary, I told him that these things could just be rumors. So I was not ready to believe everything he said. Now my words annoyed him, and he challenged me. He said if I could go there, camp alone for 3 days, and stay in that location, he would give me $500. Now at first, we all thought it was just a normal joke, but later it became serious. So I accepted and told him I had no problem doing it. If I returned safely, I would win the bet and prove him wrong. But when I told this to my girlfriend, she became extremely scared and told me many times not to go there. Since she was already from Canada, she had heard many things about that place since childhood, so she didn't want to allow me to go at all. She even searched online and showed me different reports about the incidents that had happened there, and after reading them, I was a little scared. But the problem was that I had already accepted the bet with my friend. If I backed out now, first of all, I would lose my respect, and everyone in my group would call me a coward. On top of that, I would also lose the $500 challenge. Because of all these reasons, even though my girlfriend repeatedly told me not to go, I couldn't listen to her. I decided that I would complete the challenge. But before leaving, I told her there was no need to worry so much. I agreed that there were already paranormal activities, dark stories, and missing cases connected to that place. But since I had already promised my friends, turning back would become a problem. Now, to make sure that I could not cheat, my 4 friends came to pick me up. In the morning, they arrived there and dropped me near the entrance of the park. They told me that my time started from that moment, and they would come back after 2 days. Before leaving, they gave me a map so I wouldn't lose my way. It was not like I was completely new to camping. I had done it before, so I did not think it would be very difficult for me. But because of all the things my girlfriend had told me earlier, somewhere in my mind, I was worried that maybe I had come to the wrong place. But I stopped thinking about all these things and started hiking. Around 15 to 20 minutes later, I clearly understood that I was completely separated from the outside world, and the only things I could hear were the different noises of the forest and birds, which honestly felt very beautiful in a way. In the evening, I found a perfect spot to set up my camp. I had already brought some food from home, and the meals for the next 2 days were packed, so I kept them aside for later, and I decided to eat the food my girlfriend had prepared for me in the morning. At night, I made a campfire, roasted some marshmallows, ate them, and then got ready to sleep. Until then, nothing strange or paranormal had happened, and everything felt normal, just like any other camping trip I had been on before. I kept the fire burning a little and then lay down, but for some reason, I could not fall asleep. It felt strange because I had hiked a lot throughout the day and my body was completely tired, but my mind wasn't ready to rest. Different thoughts started coming into my head. I had entered this forest, but I never checked what kind of animals lived there. If they were normal creatures, then there was no problem. But if there were bigger ones, like bears, it would not be a good situation for me. And thinking about all these things, I can say that I barely slept the whole night. Maybe I closed my eyes for a short time, but soon morning arrived. Since I didn't get proper sleep, I was a bit worried about how my day would go because rest is very important during hiking, and that was the one thing I was missing. So I thought the best thing to do was make some coffee. After drinking it, I got some of my energy back. Then I realized that I needed to keep myself busy. The first idea that came to my mind was to take some pictures around my camp. This way, I could show proof to my 4 friends that I actually stayed there and didn't run away. I took out my phone and started capturing photos of my camping area and the surrounding forest. While doing this, I slowly moved quite far from my spot and continued taking pictures. Then suddenly, I noticed the top part of a cabin in the distance. I thought maybe I had found something interesting, so I decided to go closer. When I reached there, I saw that it was a very old structure. Looking at its condition, it felt as if nobody had visited that area for maybe 50 years. There were no proper windows or doors left, only the main frame was standing. From outside, I could see there were some rooms. Then another idea came into my mind. To prove my bravery even more, I thought entering this abandoned structure would be better proof for my friends. So, I went in. The condition was terrible, and nothing looked safe. It felt as if everything could collapse at any moment. As I explored further, I noticed an area similar to a basement, but no matter how much force I used, it would not open. I thought maybe because it had not been used for a long time, it was probably stuck. So instead of wasting more time there, I decided to return to my camp. That night, I prepared the packed food I had brought, finished my dinner, and went to sleep. Since this was my last night and my plan was to return home the next day, I thought I had already completed 50% of my challenge. I also had all the proof I needed. While thinking about these things, I don't even know when I fell asleep. But suddenly, in the middle of the night, I heard a loud drum sound. It was similar to what we hear in horror movies, a continuous rhythmic noise. Because of that, I woke up and came out of my tent to see what was happening. When I stepped outside, I noticed that the campfire I had made was completely out, and I could see a bright light coming from a distance, and the sound was also coming from the same direction. I became curious and started walking toward it. Of course, I shouldn't have done that because there was no reason to find out what someone was doing in the middle of the night. But sometimes curiosity makes people do uncertain things, and that is exactly what happened to me. I took my flashlight and slowly moved in that direction. After walking for some time, I realized the light was coming from the same cabin I had found during the day. This time, I could see some people inside. I wasn't sure exactly how many were there, but because the windows were broken, I could see from far away that there were at least 5 of them. The strange and creepy thing was that every person I saw was wearing completely black clothes, and their heads were covered with hoods. Seeing this, I clearly felt that whatever they were doing there was probably not something good. I was watching them and trying to understand what they were doing, when suddenly I heard footsteps coming from behind me on the right side. I turned around. I saw a man standing there, and he was also wearing the same type of clothes as the others. The moment he saw me, he started running toward me very fast, and without thinking about anything, I immediately escaped from there. I didn't go back to my camp. Instead, I started running to get out of that area. I had my flashlight with me, but I didn't have the map. I spent the whole night hiding in different spots inside the forest. Whenever I felt that someone could come near me, I changed my location again. Finally, I climbed a tree and stayed there until the sunrise. In the morning, when my friends came to pick me up, I told them everything that had happened. After hearing everything, my friends were extremely surprised. But the person who challenged me didn't want to believe my words. According to him, this type of activity doesn't happen in that forest. He believed people only talked about paranormal or ghost-related things there. So when I told him that I had seen real people and something like this happened, he couldn't accept it. After that incident, I never went back to that place again. Now, if someone challenges me to go somewhere, I think 10 times before accepting it. Now, I'm not really sure how to start this, but there is one thing I can clearly say. Whatever I saw was definitely not a bear. I know some people might doubt me after hearing what I'm about to say, but I know what I saw, and a bear could never do something like this. So, this happened last year, right before winter. I decided to go hiking on a trail that was completely new to me. I had never been there before. And after hiking for almost 2 hours, I came across a campsite, but since it was clearly abandoned, I decided not to go there. Usually there are people responsible for cleaning and handling these kinds of places, so I didn't want to interfere. But when I looked at the campsite from the side, I realized it wasn't just abandoned. It looked like something had happened there. I mean, everything was scattered all over the place. The tent someone had set up at some point was completely torn apart, but not in a way that looked like it had been damaged naturally by the weather or time. It was clear that something, or someone, had ripped it apart. So, seeing all of this made me wonder if something bad had happened there. Now, while I was thinking about it, I suddenly heard a growling sound coming from my right side, about 50 feet away from where I was standing. The strange thing was, I had never heard a sound like that before. It didn't sound like a dog, a wild animal, or even a bear. Hearing that unknown growl in the middle of the forest made me feel nervous, because when you hear something unfamiliar in a place like that, your mind starts imagining all kinds of possibilities, and most of them are not good. That was exactly what was happening to me. I thought it would be better not to get involved and just continue toward the place I originally planned to go. But after walking a short distance, another thought came to my mind. What if the owner of that campsite was hurt somehow? Maybe he heard my footsteps and were trying to call for help, but he was so injured or weak that he couldn't speak properly. I started moving toward the sound, and the closer I got, the more noises I could hear coming from that direction besides the growling. When I looked from behind a bush, I saw something that was clearly not human, but it looked strangely similar to one. It was almost 10 feet tall. Its head was round with no hair on it. Its arms were long, and its legs were thin but also unusually tall. It wasn't wearing any clothes, and there was no hair anywhere on its skin. Its color looked extremely pale. In front of it, there was something lying on the ground. I couldn't really understand what it was because my complete focus was on that creature. The moment I saw it, I was terrified. My instincts immediately told me that the best thing to do was leave that place. I didn't have any weapons with me, so there was no way I could protect myself from something like that. The only good thing was that it still hadn't noticed I was there. It was completely focused on whatever it was doing. I slowly moved away from that place and went back. I didn't continue the hike. When I reached home, I started researching about what I had seen, but I couldn't find any proper information about it. I looked at many different creatures on the internet while comparing the description, but nothing matched exactly with what I saw that day. So I went hiking alone in the North Bay area of California, and I had a very strange experience there. Now, I don't know if it was actually paranormal or if there was a normal explanation, but I will share exactly what happened. The route I chose wasn't extremely deep in the wilderness because there were suburban areas nearby. But once I entered and walked deeper inside, it felt completely isolated. Everywhere around me there were tall trees, thick bushes, and dense woods. The path itself was very narrow and uneven. Since not many people visited this place, some parts were completely covered with plants. It had also rained 2 days before my hike, so there were muddy areas and puddles of water along the way. When you reached the top of the hill, you could see the border of a residential area, and beyond that point, the wild area began. During my entire hike, I only saw one person, a woman. As I was walking toward the top of the hill, I could hear different animal sounds coming from the trees. As I continued moving forward, I noticed that the birds were also making loud noises. It almost felt like they were trying to warn me about something. Even with all these sounds around me, I kept going and enjoyed the beautiful view. The place felt calm and peaceful. Maybe quiet isn't the right word, because the surroundings were filled with natural noises, but ignoring those sounds, it was actually a very relaxing experience. After reaching the top of the hill, I stayed there for a little while. Then I started walking back down, and that was when I saw the woman. The first thing I noticed was how strangely beautiful she looked. She was walking toward me, but something about her felt unusual. She had long brown hair and was wearing a medium-length, flowing, multicolored dress with flip-flops. The strangest part was that she didn't look like someone who had come for a hike at all. She looked more like she was going on vacation or heading to a party. She wasn't wearing outdoor clothes, proper shoes, or anything that someone would normally choose for a rough and muddy path like this. That was the first thing that made her stand out to me. When she was walking towards me and was about to cross me, I looked at her and simply said, "Hi." She responded with a smile and said hi back. But the moment she smiled at me, I felt like time stopped for a few seconds. Her beauty completely amazed me. She said hi in such a soft and gentle voice, then continued walking past me. After she left, a strange thought came into my mind. Was that person who just walked past me even real? I know it sounds dramatic, but if you weren't there and didn't see it with your own eyes, you wouldn't understand what I felt. I had never seen someone with that kind of unreal beauty before. As I continued walking back down the trail, more and more questions started coming into my mind. Why would such a beautiful woman come to this kind of rough hiking trail wearing a dress and flip-flops? And why was she completely alone in such an isolated place? When I was going up the hill, I hadn't seen a single person. Now, while I was returning, it was already getting close to evening. There were probably only 1 or 2 hours of daylight left. So why was she going up at that time? Even if she reached the top, how would she return before dark? I clearly noticed that she had no backpack, no food, no equipment, and no tent. So what was her plan after going up there? Any normal hiker would never come this unprepared. I was thinking about all these things while walking down when suddenly a huge tree crashed down right in front of me. If I had walked just 1 or 2 meters further, it could have fallen directly on me. But luckily, nothing happened. I was standing completely safe while that massive trunk landed only a short distance away. But there was something even stranger about it. I could not understand why it fell. There was no storm, no strong wind, and the weather was completely calm. One possible explanation was that maybe it was old or already dead and just happened to collapse at that exact moment. But even that explanation didn't feel right, because it looked completely healthy, green, and full of leaves. When I checked the base, I saw something that shocked me even more. It looked like someone had cut it. Seeing that gave me so many questions. Just a few minutes earlier, I had met a mysterious woman whose presence made no sense, and shortly after that, this huge thing suddenly came crashing down right in front of me. Then I remembered something else. While I was climbing up the trail earlier, I heard strange cries from birds and animals. At that moment, I ignored those sounds, but now I started wondering, were those animals trying to warn me about something? Now I basically had two options. The first option was to somehow climb over the massive tree blocking my way and continue back through my original route, the same path I had used to come up. The second option was to turn around and take another trail. But that route was much more isolated, rough, and uneven. I had never taken that path before, and it would take much longer. If I chose that way, there was a possibility that I would still be there after dark. At first, because this huge obstacle appeared right in front of me, I thought maybe there was something dangerous ahead, and this was some kind of warning to stop me from going that way. Maybe that woman appeared and talked to me just to delay me for a few moments, so the tree could collapse before I reached that exact spot. Maybe it was just a strange coincidence and pure luck that prevented me from walking into danger. That was my first thought, and because of that, I almost decided to take the second route. But then I looked closely at the base, and I realized something was wrong. It didn't look like it happened naturally. It looked like someone had cut it. After seeing that, my gut feeling started telling me that I should stay on my original path. I felt like someone or something was intentionally trying to force me away from this route and push me toward the unknown trail instead. So I decided to trust my instinct. I somehow crossed over it and continued back through my usual route. Thankfully, nothing happened to me on the way back. But for some reason, I still feel that if I had chosen the second option and gone through that longer, more isolated path, something bad might have happened. Of course, I am not completely sure, so I cannot say what would have happened. It is just a strange feeling I still cannot explain.